Alcoholics of Reddit, how or when did you recognize you had a problem? I remember the first time I realized I really didn't have any control over it. I knew for ages that I drank a lot. I even incorporated that into my identity. Party guy averaged art. This was different though. I was at uni, and I was in a student flat in the middle of campus by myself, having been ejected from halls of residence after knifing a guy while blackout drunk. Yeah, that wasn't the moment, weirdly. The moment was on the morning of an exam. An important one. I was terribly hungover, so to sort myself out for the exam I thought I'd have a beer to stave off the hangover and calm my nerves a bit. I remember looking out my window and watching my classmates go into the exam while I drank beer number 4, and I just could not fathom why I was not there with them. I had every intention of being in that exam, but as soon as I started drinking, I just couldn't stop. And that is a pretty good textbook example of what makes alcoholism so dangerous. Somehow, you will convince yourself that this time, you will control it. Despite all evidence in the past, this time it'll be okay to just have one. Once you pop, you just can't stop. It's not about how much you drink, it's about what happens when you do. Happy to say I've been clean and sober since the 2nd of November 2006. Have a great job, wife and little girl, and I wouldn't trade my worst sober days for my best drinking ones. For me it was I went into the bar I went to every day and ordered a shot and a beer to join my friends at video game we played every day, Golden Tea. When I picked it up to bring it to our table my shakes were so violent I spilled half of it on the bar. But from what others have posted, I've been through. The biggest ones that are in my eyes the truest are showing up to events bringing booze when it's really a place where booze won't be involved, not going to places if they don't have booze, or going to like a pumpkin patch or street fair and the first mission is to find the booze stand, or bring your own like I did, bringing enough to booze to kill a horse for a casual hangout. Friend and I used to watch football together, like have a few beers and watch the game. I'd bring a 12 pack and a fifth of liquor and most of the time drink it all during the game. Only person drinking to get hammered. Few cocktail casuals? Nah, I'm pounding it to get a buzz as quickly as possible, drinking in the morning to get rid of the hangover. I used to pull vodka before work. I just stopped buying alcohol and drinking alone, haha. On the very rare occasion that I do drink, I buy an amount that, if I finish it, I won't be completely shit-faced. So, for me, usually an 8-pack or 750 milliliters of wine. I don't stock up on alcohol whatsoever, because I know I'll slam it. Every time I buy alcohol, I do it with the mindset that I'm going to drink this tonight, because quite frankly, looking at my track record, it's probably a fair assessment. I don't think there's really a good answer for people who have the relationship with alcohol people like us do. You either quit outright, or try some form of moderation and hope for the best. When I initially had success quasi-quitting, I started using kratom as a substitute. When I was using that stuff daily I really just didn't feel like drinking. I used it for about 6 months, and quit using it about 5 months ago. I wouldn't really recommend it, but it worked, more or less, for me. But the thing is, you just gotta accept that you'll never have a healthy relationship with alcohol. Your mind just doesn't view it as a beverage like some other people. Your mind, whether or not you like it, views it as a drug, and one it really likes. Be honest with yourself, you know every time you have the opportunity, and there's enough alcohol available, you will get fucked up. Keep that in mind and make decisions accordingly. I used to do a little but the little wouldn't do it, so the little got more and more. I had it under control for a long time, I just drank a lot. Then, I'd start waking up hungover, and make a drink to kill the headache. Oh, well I finished that, let's keep pushing the headache away. It got to the point where anytime I'd have off of work I'd have a drink in my hand. A while back I realized I had killed 2 handles, a gallon, of vodka, in 4 days. The wake up call was when I stopped, during the work week, and I experienced withdrawals. You do not want to experience alcohol withdrawals. According to what I've read, I only had mild symptoms. The essence of addiction is continuing to use in the face of mounting consequences. It happens because conscious control is lost. I knew I was in that position when, despite being hungover as hell from the previous night, my drinking alone BTW, would start with me trying to just have one. But I would feel so great after one, I would just keep pouring them and end up passed out drunk and then hungover as hell the next day. Rinse repeat. Also, I had blackouts from drinking and had developed a tolerance. At the end, I was drinking a gallon of whiskey a week. My last hangover lasted 3 days. I'd been going to AA for a while by that point, and a phrase stuck in my mind. It's the first drink that gets you drunk. Which means once an alcoholic ingests alcohol, the lizard brain takes over, control is lost. So now I'm sober. For me, it was noticing how many triggers associations I had with my substances. Every time I drank a beer, I wanted to smoke weed or a cig. Every time I smoked, I wanted a beer. This becomes an endless cycle that involved 5+ drinks a night, regular or hard, and smoking an insane amount of weed cigs. While this pales in comparison to some addiction stories, it became increasingly difficult to control, as most of my triggers were also symptoms of heavy depression. If I wanted to eat, I'd smoke beforehand and drink a beer with breakfast, lunch, dinner. Wanting to play a video game? Well, gotta grab a beer first. Oh wait, let me also smoke real quick, and so on. This extended into a large part of my life, making me want to drink, smoke before work, before family outings, even before after drinking in public. Ultimately, when I hit broke due to my consumption and having to go hungry and sober really shook me after I recovered from it. If I didn't have parents that helped me with rent, I definitely wouldn't have blinked twice at drinking my future away as a bum. Now I'm managing. I go to work sober and enjoy my days, aside from the occasional shit day, and only really smoke before work on my easy days. 3+ hour conference calls etc. I only drink maybe 2-3 nights a week, though I don't really limit myself on these nights. I drink till drunk and then lay down and enjoy the waves. I'll probably smoke for the rest of my life, as it really does help me with certain issues that other medicines have failed at. Trust me, I've tried dart. That being said, I now do it when I want to do it, rather than when I want to do something else but don't want to be sober for it. It was a myriad of things. My wife was constantly on me, my work was suffering, I wasn't spending time with family, the hangovers would last days on end, and I was hospitalized 3 separate times my last year of drinking. As the saying goes, I didn't get in trouble every time I drank, but when I did get into trouble, I had been drinking. I had also reached a point in my life where I didn't look in the mirror anymore, cause I couldn't stand the guy looking back at me. During my last hospital stay, my wife told me she was leaving unless I did something. Through divine intervention, or just dumb luck, a guy from my golf club called me the next day about buying insurance. I knew he had been sober a long time, and before he got 2 sentences out of his mouth, I told him I needed help. He picked me up that night and led me to my first AA meeting. I found out later that he had been sober almost 30 years and that was his first AA meeting in almost 2 decades, and so began my journey into sober living. I got a sponsor, hit a lot of meetings, got involved, and somehow, by the grace of God, I haven't felt the need to pick up a drink in 1-2 years. It was tough in the beginning, but you realize how much better life is without the booze. Today I still go to meetings, more to catch up with old friends, and still help those trying to get sober. I sponsor a buddy of mine and we do a pretty good job keeping each other sober. Life is great. My children know me more sober than when I was drinking. My relationship with my wife is fantastic, and the business I was running into the ground is now flourishing. Sober living isn't always a bed of roses, but it is a hell of a lot better than living in the disease. Lying in a bath with the shower going after throwing up, again and again. Looking my 2-year-old in the face and saying daddy is sick, we'll play TMW, and realizing once again that I did it all to myself. Ouch. I've made it before to that point where you wonder, why did I do this to myself? I have to do something about this, only to go back to drinking the moment I feel physically better. Shit's hard, man. I realized pretty early on that I had a problem with alcohol. Basically, as soon as I realized I'm virtually incapable of stopping after a certain point, I knew I'd never truly have a healthy relationship with alcohol. For me, it's somewhere around 5-6 drinks. Once I get to that point, I'll drink until either me or the bottle is gone, regardless of my previous intentions, or how determined I am to stop. On top of that, I don't actually enjoy having one drink. Subconsciously, I think, I never really viewed alcoholic beverages as beverages in so much as I viewed them as a drug. Which is weird, because I actually really enjoy the taste of many types of alcoholic beverages. But I always feel let down having just one beer, or one glass of wine, for some reason, even if that's my intention and I only buy one beer for example. I just end up feeling somewhat groggy, which is obviously not what I enjoy about the effects of alcohol. I still drink occasionally, but I never buy alcohol or drink alone. I think most people know they have a problem, but because of society and how we have been brainwashed, they don't think it's really that much of a problem. I was a daily drinker for about 8 years. I used to just drink occasionally, but I hit a rut and was working 2 jobs and felt stressed. Alcoholism is progressive, and eventually I was drinking about a pint of liquor a day. I never got me nor caused problems in my relationship. I got tired of feeling like shit in the morning and being controlled by the need to drink. My wife was surprised I quit. She didn't think I had a problem. You do not have to hit rock bottom to quit. I quit over 6 months ago and I really enjoy my life now. There is a lot to learn about alcoholism. The truth is, once you take your drinking so far, completely quitting is the only option. You can no longer moderate. Once you quit, you don't need to play mental gymnastics over when or how much you allow yourself to drink. The Easy Way to Control Alcohol by Alan Carr and Alcohol Explained by William Porter are great books. Also visit our Stop Drinking. I'm a pretty quiet and reserved person, but alcohol turns me into a damn politician. I can talk to anyone, make jokes in front of large crowds, just generally become a fun guy. One night, after pounding 13 beers and 7 shots of whiskey, I was going through my normal routine and a friend said to me, "I don't like sober Ryan. Drunk Ryan is the only good one." It's one of the only things I can remember from the night, and it's still burned into my memory. I can vividly picture the encounter 6 years later. Needless to say, I started drinking more and more, thinking it was the only way I could get people to like me. I began to think that my close friends just tolerated me and would ditch me if I was ever just myself around them. It obviously took a toll on them, and I began to realize that most of my relationships with friends and so's ended because it. I would go through these cycles of being able to space out my heavy drinking days to a 2-3 week binge. Usually came out of them not knowing what exactly happened, but the relationships never felt right after them. For no specific reason, I realized after I saw Springsteen on Broadway that I was using alcohol as some magic potion that made me likable, when it was only a way for me to hide my insecurities and distract others from what I thought was wrong with me. It consistently damaged my relationships with people I was genuinely close to, all to impress some people at a bar or house party who wouldn't remember my name in the morning. Sober since the 13th of August, 2018. Each day is equal parts harder and easier than the day before, but I made it through another one.